Hello, my name is Neil Carrick. I've been a pastor most of my adult life, and I'm also a family law mediator, working mainly in cases that involve children in divorce and custody battles. Today, I'd like to talk to you from my home, and as you can probably tell, I'm talking to you from my dining room table. This is a place where my family is more together than any other. We sit down, have dinner together, and we talk about what's important. So today, I'd like to talk to you about some things that are important. And the main thing I'd like to talk to you about is probably one of the most burning issues in our society right now, which is, what is marriage? What is family? What is a legitimate child? And today, I'd like to emphasize those things more than any other in this conversation. And I hope that you would stay with me for just a few minutes so that we can have this discussion. Today, there's such discord, not only within our community, but within our local houses of worship. Many denominations are at war concerning these very matters. And it's an unfortunate and unnecessary discussion, I believe, because it's placed the wrong emphasis on the wrong things. And today we should be discussing what's important in terms of our family, our children, and our community, not on who's marrying who. And I'd like to start with a really simple principle. If tomorrow the state government or the federal government or your local municipality decided that they were going to have rules and regulations about who the church could baptize, could participate in communion or the Lord's Supper, people would be up in arms. But that's exactly what's going on with marriage today. And we know how it makes people feel when the church is interfered with by the state government. We don't like it. And it's an unfortunate reality that's exactly what's going on. Now, I'm proposing something of a change in the argument. Instead of arguing whether or not civil marriage, in other words, lawful marriage, is between a man and a woman, and all the other ingredients that the state, and in this case, the state of Michigan, has put into its constitution and its laws, I'd like to ask you another question. Should it not be up to the local church who they marry or who they don't marry? And I'd like to emphasize that again. Who they marry and who they don't marry. Shouldn't it be up to the actual congregation or their religious sect or the clergyman, for that matter, who weddings are performed for, whether they want to do it or not want to do it based upon their religious values, instead of what the state decides? Now, I don't believe that churches and congregations and religious sects should be able to abuse anybody or allow abuse to take place or allow fraud to take place. That's a much different discussion. What I'm talking about is whether or not a church should be able to decide whom they marry, and for that matter, who they don't marry. In some churches, if you've been married before and divorced, their pastor will not remarry the individuals. It's against their belief systems. That is their right and their privilege. In some churches, they believe that same-sex marriage is okay. And to many people, they believe that that's their right and their privilege. In other churches, it's a whole different gamut of things that matter, whether race, gender, even age, youth, and elderly. All kinds of matters are what influences the right to get married in a church. Now, some would argue that, maybe from the left-hand side, that churches should marry whoever wants to get married. From the right-hand side, we would probably have an argument that churches should be restricted in marrying people based upon the biblical sense, whatever that may be to them at that time. But I disagree. I believe that the overriding principle here is that a church should have that decision and nobody should interfere with it. The local congregation or the religious sect is who should be making the decisions. Not a senator, not a representative, not a governor, not an attorney general, not a prosecutor, not a mayor, and not the president. It should be up to the local church. So I ask you to come with me, sit down, and let's have this discussion together. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to more conversations.